Berserk! Where we left off, our companions had just defeated the trolls. Guts had an encounter with a succubus angel demon. And now we are picking up with an old lady and a scully knight. But before we get on into it, I would like to quickly say we are in the middle of my limited merch drop. From yesterday until the 17th, these designs will be available, and then after that, they're gone forever. You're never gonna see them again. So if you would like to go ahead and support the Goblin Horde, check out the link down below, and I will be sending a thank you video to every single person who makes a purchase of my merch, no matter how large or small. So you'll be seeing my face one-to-one. There also isn't going to be an uncensored version of this video on Patreon because the section of Berserk we covered here didn't really need to be censored, and I don't want to give you guys like fake bonus content unless it's really something different that feels scummy. Hopefully the early access you got to said merch makes up for it. DanielBGreen.com! We are going to be covering a bit smaller section of Berserk this time, but that's because the story we're about to get into has a very clean structure to it from beginning to end, and it just feels very natural to do so. And where it ends off, feelings. But before we get back into the story, a quick word from today's video is brought to you by Babbel. Learning to speak another language can be a valuable tool, and the start of the new year is a great time to set such goals. However, with so many language apps on the market, it can become a bit overwhelming to decide where exactly to go for your language learning needs. Babbel gets this, which is why they've set up an easy-to-use app with 13 different languages to choose from, like French, Russian, and German. I was originally using it to learn to speak Russian, but I switched on over to German because it's what my father speaks, and I'd like to be able to surprise him. And so everyone, Tschüss. Tschüss. Neat. Hello. So let me ask you, Father, wo ist die Toilette? For those of you who don't speak German, I just asked him where the pooper is. These lessons are designed by actual language teachers and are focused on real-world conversations you might have based on business, travel, or relationships. Not only that, but their curriculum has been proven to get you speaking the fundamentals of a language within 3 weeks of starting if you're committed to it. And my personal favorite part of all of this is Babbel is confident enough in their product to offer you a 20-day money-back guarantee, so if before 20 days you realize how their curriculum is oriented isn't exactly working for you, there's no actual risk to you. So click the link in the description down below or scan the QR code on the screen and you can get 60% off your subscription today. Back pickup, we see the witch is finishing some form of spell on armor she's instructing the Death Knight to give to Guts. And it's interesting to see even he seems somewhat nervous about what she is doing. They have a bit more Berserkerian back and forth about ideas before her spiritual barrier is broken. And we see Griffith's army has arrived on her land. But the Death Knight mounts his horse and says he will fight alongside her. To which the witch says, "I won't forget your devotion, old friend." And I'm gonna go ahead and say that quite honestly, I did have a friend who told me like, Guts' trajectory is him like slowly becoming more and more like this Death Knight. And I was like, oh, and I started looking out for that more and more. And it's becoming very apparent here that this Death Knight is someone who used to be in a similar-ish path to Guts and ended up in the situation he is in. And it seems that Guts' journey is directing him towards a future that is inevitably going to align with the Death Knights. And I'm quite curious about that, but that's why I was wearing a hat. My hair today is just wild. I do wish my friend hadn't said that because I think at this point is where I would have picked up on it and been like, but the witch seems to know she's going to die and she starts thinking of her apprentice, finishing by saying, "I wish I could have at least seen your bashful smile once more with my own eyes." And these thoughts do somehow reach her apprentice, who seems somewhat perturbed, saying, "For a moment, I thought I sensed my mistress's thoughts." But during some dialogue about this and Schierke's future, Guts passes out on the path. Isidoro saying, "Didn't the wound stop bleeding back at the church?" To which Schierke says, "No, these wounds are quite severe. The wounds to the physical body have indeed closed, but the wounds to his ethereal body remain unhealed. If left alone, they will steadily debilitate him, and eventually the physical wounds will open again too." Guts begins to rise. "It's not a big deal. I'm just a little dizzy or something." Schierke thinks to herself, "An ethereal wound is a wound to the spirit itself. It must hurt even to the point of trauma. Normally, one shouldn't be able to stay conscious." Incredible obstinance. "Guts, what exactly happened there after the rest of us fled? Those wounds, they're not something a mere troll could inflict. And the talisman I applied, at some point it was effaced." "I kicked her ass with one stab from this sword. A monster who pretends to be an angel." Because remember, they can communicate telepathically. And it seems Guts shows Schierke an image of the member of the God Hand he fought. Oh, that would explain that bizarre flow of odd, but in that case, there's no way he could be alright like this. Not that he's alright. In the first place, a mere human has no way to fight such a high-level spirit. That sword, maybe with its special power from continually cutting those of the astral world. Be not enamored solely with the wondrous marvels, but look closely at the truth that is before your eyes. Schierke remembers, you see, he is still alive. Okay, and I know so many people give me crap for not pointing out the bit of dialogue in the last episode where they were remarking that Guts' sword, due to all the supernatural shenanigans it's been involved with, seems to be having some additional properties put into it to make it a weapon that is valid against the ethereal. But funny thing is, I didn't miss it. I just can't include everything, and that went way of the dodo because I actually knew this bit of dialogue was coming. I don't always do exactly what I've read to. I'm sorry, editing's a lot. But what I think we're being told here by the witch is actually to look beyond just the sword itself. Maybe I'm reading too much into it now, but I think Guts himself already is beginning to become more than just human. That's why that bit of dialogue of no human could do this, I think that's already implying he's already changing. I mean, Christ, so many people have already remarked how Guts is able to do more, be stronger, and faster than any human being ever possibly could. He's becoming an entity of something else. I want to say like rage and anger, but I don't know for sure. And I'm remarking on all of this because of what specifically happens with his character in this section. But just then, Guts' brand starts to bleed again. Schierke feeling something off. Guts says, there's something bad at the mansion, and it ain't trolls. The old lady's in trouble. It's them. Smoke begins to flow through the forest, and they find the manor burning in the night. Schierke runs for the manor, Guts sending Isidoro and Serpico after her. Guts looks at the approaching evil force. No mistaking, they're apostles. He charges one, swinging with all his might, but in his weakened state, he's only able to inflict a wound. He's thrown back by one of the apostles. Too much for Guts to deal with after his encounter with the God Hand. What the? Some humans snuck in. You with the witch? That hurt, you know. And just as a massive apostle is about to descend on Guts, the Death Knight comes, slicing through it. Why are you here?
Because I have close ties with the head of the mansion.
Ties? Oh, that's why he was at the Troll's Den. Who the hell are you? How could one horseman do so much against us war demons? War demons?
I have no name to give a mere apostle. I'll say only that I'm one who opposes the 5 angels.
And this apostle actually remembers back seeing the Death Knight during the eclipse, before the minion recognizes Guts, saying, Our master's sacrifice! You're one of the survivors! Sacrifice. Master, it couldn't be.
Whoever thought I'd run into you two in a place like this?
Says Nosferatu Zod, walking from the smoke.
Guess we're connected.
Zod, why are you here? Don't tell me your master is...
That's obvious. There's only one master in the world the Inhumans would choose. Zod, I, Grunbeld, wish to be the one who fights him.
A giant.
Grunbeld, fine then. Thank you.
And we see the giant companion of Griffith challenges Guts to a duel, saying,
Coming face to face with a warrior like you means every heavy stride was worthwhile. I, Grunbeld, as a warrior of the Band of the Hawk, call upon the Black Swordsman in single combat.
What? The Band of the Hawk? We cut to Schierke inside the mansion burning. Isidoro and Serpico catching her. Schierke gets a psychic message from her mistress. Get that to the Black Swordsman. Hurry. You don't mean... What in the world happened? Why such a dreadful enemy bears down? At this rate, the swordsman... There's no time. Enemy? What enemy? But at this rate, you, mistress, will... You should know full well that time has come. But not like this. It is too cruel. You must go in peace, not engulfed in flames like this. At the very least, this is my due. You, as a sorceress, should know how sinful it is to live beyond the extent of your allowed time. There is nothing to mourn. You know that for we magi, death is not an end, but a change in the form of life. But I'll still be lonely in a sunspot, my head in your lap, afternoon tea with the golds. It's all going to be gone. It's going to burn. Shriek. We cut back to Guts, seeing him taking a blow from the giant on his blade, being thrown back through the air, remarking, It's like I was hit by a battering ram. Even though he's in human form, he's stronger than a typical apostle. Guts begins to stand, saying, All of you, How dare you say Band of the Hawk? Another blow, this time from the shield, sends him skittering back, followed up by an attempted killing strike from the warhammer.
That's some sword. To take 2 strikes from my warhammer without breaking. But what of your fight? There's been nothing remarkable save your 1 blow. You're just being knocked about without offering resistance.
And we see Guts' wounds are reopening. Because metaphor. We see Griffith's forces begin to move from watching the fight to attacking the witch. One saying,
"Let's hurry up and get our job over with. Get the witch's
No,
head in."
you won't. Move. I'll fight this one.
But Captain Zod, I can't stand it. He just killed.
That's an order. I don't care if it's burnt black. You all go bring me the witch's head. Quit wasting time.
and Zod takes on his animal form.
You going to chase a woman in the middle of battle? That's rather unlike you. Fighting was everything to you, wasn't it, Immortal? Don't misunderstand. I'm the only one who can hold you off. It's that, and that alone. So this time, we both have different reasons than usual.
Back in the burning mansion, we see Isidoro, Schierke, and Sir Pico are attacked by an apostle. Working together, they're able to get to the treasure chamber where the armor is being held. And we see a set of dark armor with a skull head. If I didn't catch it at this point, I'd be what you call stupid. But cutting back to Guts, we see he's being stomped on from the giant above, who's doubting whether or not he's even really the Black Swordsman after such a pathetic display. Finishing,
The battlefield ought to be a sacred place to the warrior. To meet death in battle is one's long-cherished aspiration, but it seems the pride of a warrior is not fitting for you.
no use in a monster pretending to be a warrior at this point, narcissistic The giant kicks Guts back.
As a warrior, you aren't worth death by my warhammer.
The giant lifts its cannon.
Fall to pieces and litter the ground.
Just as the cannon's about to strike Guts, the gnomes defending the mansion stand and begin facing the giant, forming into a super gnome far larger than he.
Fa! Damn puppets.
Schierke connects mentally to Guts. Schierke, you okay? What about the old lady? She shows him an outside entrance to the treasure chamber. Go inside there. What the hell's? Showing him an image of the armor. You don't say. With the distraction of the gnomes, Guts runs, managing to get inside the chamber just as he collapses, unconscious. After realizing how bad a shape Guts is in, Isidoro says, "What do we do? Even if we put that on him, he can't move. But if we stay here, the fire will..." Schierke thinks it's true that if we put him in this situation, it'll endanger his life. But just then, something breaks through the door. One of the apostles on the fire. "Oh shit, it's them!" Isidoro says. "I guess I have to do something with my magic," Schierke thinks. "It's my responsibility for putting everyone in danger." Just then, Guts comes back to consciousness, grabbing her hand. And this panel of him coming back to consciousness, I have seen so many times. It's good to finally know the context of it. As the apostle tries to break down the door, they begin placing the dark armor on Guts. Just as it bursts through the door, he begins to rise. We cut back to the giant, who has managed to destroy the guardian of the mansion.
Where have you hidden, Black Swordsman? Do you still insist on these shameful antics?
But just then, a crash comes from the ground. The apostle who broke into the treasury, running for help.
Help me! It hurts. Help me! It hurts. I hate him. He'll be dead.
A black form explodes from inside the apostle, Guts having donned the skull armor. Our companions back in the ruined treasury remarking, "Whoa, wow." Isidoro saying, "So strong. Doesn't even cover it. What's going on? A minute ago, Guts couldn't even stand. You should have said something. If you had such an incredible item, you should have handed it over for the troll slaying." "It's not so simple an item as that," Schierke says.
Is that the Black Swordsman? He moves like someone else entirely. No, that sword's definitely...
Zod sees Guts before looking back to the Death Knight, saying,
That's... the memories, my dear old friend. So you would have him follow you down that same path into hell.
and if I didn't get it by this point, I think I'd be medically dead. Guts in the armor thinks, "What's happening with this armor? The moment I donned it, the pain of my wounds vanished like it was an illusion. No, it simply doesn't bother me. Pain just doesn't matter anymore. Whatever.
More important than that is what's boiling inside this body. An impulse. Something inside me. Something ferocious is seething. I see. Yield to me. Yield to me. Yield to me everything.
And we see the beast that has been following in Guts' shadow. The shape of the armor twists and contorts, matching Guts' inner demon. Watching the transformation, the giant says,
Interesting. So that's your true power, and it will make crushing you worthwhile.
There's no way for me to put this aside from putting it the way I need to. Guts then Frogger leaps him. That's what he's kicking him like a frog. I don't know. That's a frog kick. I'm just opening move in the armor. Frog kick. And then this next line, I imagine it's translation that results in the phrasing like this, but the giant says,
He thrust back my huge frame.
Yeah, he did, bud.
What strength are these blows of that same man? He broke my shield that repels even cannon fire. No one with that armor and huge sword. No human can move like that.
And we see Guts leaps at the giant once again. Isidro expresses how much stronger Guts seems, and Shriek says, It will be dangerous if he continues to fight like that any further. What do you keep talking about? Isidro asks. It's not that Guts' wounds have healed. He just feels no pain from them. No pain? That fetish was made by dwarves. It is the Berserker armor. Berserker armor? He who dons that armor and aligns with the ominous flow of odd dwelling therein truly becomes a savage. He is driven by such violent emotions, he forgets about things like pain and fear. Humans have unconsciously established bounds to their strength, so they do not harm their own bodies. Pain is a warning to keep us from destroying ourselves. A human without pain realizes unbelievable strength, reflexes, and perception. He surpasses the limits of the human body at the risk of his own life. And we see Guts bleeding from the armor. And here is where I'm kind of saying, like, yeah, Guts seems to be going far beyond, like, oh, he's gotten a magic-imbued weapon. I'm beginning to think he's been around so much awful, horrific stuff. His very soul, the entity that is Guts, is moved beyond what the normal human could be considered. And I don't know what to call it. I don't think he's a demon. I don't think he's an angel. He's Guts. And now he's got an armor that takes all that rage, trauma, and fury contained within that man and channels it out of him in a painless effort. That's the perfect armor for Guts. I've always wondered, like, is Guts strong enough to take comic book Captain America? And I think in this armor, the conversation just got a lot more balanced. I don't know if it's like 100% Guts now, but because comic book Captain America, you don't know. Freakishly strong. The giant now seems excited to face Guts, deeming him a worthy opponent in his new armor. But Guts continues to maintain the upper hand, scoring a devastating blow on the giant's shoulder.
Magnificent! You are the victor! The rumors lied not. No, you are a superb warrior, and you exceed them. But my mission lies ahead. For my master, as an apostle of the Hawk of Light, I shall finish you.
And we see the giant takes on his true form as a massive crystal dragon. Like, dragon scales are already considered to be, like, magically the hardest thing ever, right? Like, piercing dragon scales in, like, the mythology of dragons is deemed to be nearly impossible. So are crystals really better? I guess they kind of make weapons themselves, so I'll take that.
I shall use this power granted to me as an apostle and lay low the Black Swordsman.
But we see Guts stops the apostle's coming attack and stabs into the diamond's skin, immediately causing damage, to which the now dragon state should be impossible. But we see the effort has broken several of Guts' bones. Shriek saying, the armor is reinforcing his broken limbs by piercing through his flesh and biting into his bones. I heard a previous owner of the armor was similarly devoured by its steel teeth, and he continued fighting until the last of his blood gushed forth and all his bones were broken. Shriek begins to panic, knowing Guts is doomed if he continues like this, thinking, Mistress, why a thing like this? What must I do? But then she hears her mistress's voice. You will deal with it. It is something only you, being a witch, can do. Mistress! But I am still a novice. I'm upset. And my magic.
You now appreciate your inexperience and the danger of drowning in power. For this very reason, it should be possible for you. This swordsman, lost in the turbulence of power, you will show him the way.
Shriek creates a circle, Isidro asking, Hey, what are you gonna do? I'm going to bring Guts back. Look after my body. I will try, mistress. I will reach him. We see many of the more minor apostles try to get involved, but Guts in his armor makes quick work of them. His armored helmet even biting into one of the limbs of the apostles. Isidro notes, his fighting style's getting less and less human. The rest of the party is spotted, Serpico drawing his blade, saying, if it comes down to it, we can run, and take Shriek with us. We see Shriek's mind, spirit, floating.
These flames, anger, this is the hateful turbulence that flows deep within the armor. Will I make it in time? If a typical human being were simply consumed, their ego would shatter.
And she sees an incredible, great, burning demon dog.
That's the image Guts' anger projects when it's clad in the odd of the armor. Guts is incited. Can I do this? Can I rescue him from such a turbulent rage? If I'm not careful, I'll be swept away too. There is no time to hesitate. Fragments of Guts' memories. They're just like lamplights, darkness.
Shriek sees into Guts' past and the horrors within.
No, what horrible being engulfed, mistress. That's my mistress.
And she sees a seal we saw the witch carving earlier, and a spirit.
What's this? I see. This is Guts' ego. My mistress's talisman was guarding his ego against collapse. Hate, anger, malice. No! You mustn't yield to the flow. Yield? Yes. You'll cease to be yourself. You'll be taken into this domain. Remember who you are.
It doesn't matter. Kill, run, murder, war, foe, but a foe fiend, Griffith.
Of course it matters. Remember, the reason you journey, the reason you're fighting now. A human soul wouldn't become this tattered over something that doesn't matter. Remember, her name is Casca. Your name is Guts, the branded swordsman, Guts, the protector of Casca, the branded girl.
Receive my fire!
But we see Guts leaps through the flame, reaching Isidro to help him deal with the apostles, before sprinting into the woods, finding Casca, and killing an apostle that was about to reach her. I love that there had to be a moment to bring him back where he couldn't just save, like, Serpico, because, like, you don't got that level of bro with Serpico. And it had to be that one of the demons had found Lady Fardes and Casca, and he's just like, I got it! But he takes out the minor monster about to descend on the women, his helmet peeling off to reveal Guts in control of himself. Guts, Lady Fardes says. How awful. I do love that his helmet now has an Iron Man pullback feature. That's f***ing rad. But Serpico and Isidro are being chased by the dragon. It begins to breathe another wall of flame, but a magic force stops it. Mistress! Shriek exclaims, and we see the spirit of the witch standing before the dragon, flames burning from her body.
You have done well, Shriek. Now go. This forest will not last much longer. Once the spirit tree burns down, this domain will likely close.
No, I won't.
This place is an interstice where time lingers for the old. This tree and I have both lived quite long. However pleasant the sunshine, the young must not dwell here forever. The time has come to leave the nest. Go forth from here and find your own path, my dearest student. The days I spent with you were short, but in all my long life, they were the most serene.
Thank you, mistress. The party begins to flee. Shriek swept up by Guts. The giant calls after them.
Wait, Black Swordsman. What is this flame that I, a fire dragon, cannot manipulate?
My existential form will merely change. We can meet again in your dreams. Whether you grasp the fate that stands before you is up to you. May your going forth be blessed, sweet beloved child. Farewell, my sunshine.
Okay, time for me to sound a little bit like a broken record, but god damn does Berserk have the ability to make me emotionally connect with characters oh so quickly. And I know they're gonna die. Like, I know the witch is gonna die. No way someone that old, that sweet, that helpful is going to be allowed to live in this world. But seeing her just go is still painful. And her relationship with Schierke and all of it is just, I got emotions and feelings. I really like this section. It so well had a great structure, pacing, and execution to it. It had a brilliant setup from the previous episode we just saw, and the execution of all those things that were so well built and paid off really has propelled the party off into the next leg of their journey. What feels like more momentum than Berserk has ever had. It feels so coherent now, and I love it. I got small nitpicks like the beat for Guts to just go off and rescue Casca real quick felt a little shoehorned in, and the convenience of the witch able to have this one last stand. It's a little too convenient, but it's also kind of really nice to have this character who is so established and connected with this place be something that can have one last bit of resistance to allow our party to get away. I dig it. And Guts specifically, I really hope this evolution of the manifestation of the anger within him to allow him to have some exterior representation to it means he begins to be able to heal and grow and understand it better, because it could be used as a literary device for him to be able to more recognize exactly the trauma that is inside of him, though it's Berserk, so I don't think it'll be nearly that clean as straightforward going forward. And now it really feels like for the time for Casca to come back into herself and start being Casca again, and my God, do I want that. That is my biggest complaint going forward, and give it to me. And I want to just say thank you again to today's sponsor, Babbel. If you're interested in picking up a language this year, there's no better way to start than with Babbel. And right now, you can get 60% off if you use the link in the description down below. And that's freaking awesome, because there's a money-back guarantee if you find out it's not for you in the first 20 days. For this section of Berserk, I'm going a very solid 8. It was just fun, action-packed, character-resonant, and surprisingly emotional for me. I've been emotional recently, and it's good to have stories continue to ride that line. Now, if you would please go to danielbgreen.com, it'd be a wonderful time for you to check out some Goblin Horde merch, and like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you'd like to support what I do here, and tune in next week for another episode of Berserk. Goodbye!